Could I formally welcome? Yes, we do. Have you not got them yet? So can I formally welcome everyone to the formal part of the Gourock Council meeting? This is just so we'll go through the agenda. For anyone who's new here, we'll just run through the agenda. This is a kind of formal part of the meeting, so everything through the chair. We're really trying to make sure everybody gets to be part of the discussion. We'll look out quite strongly for you. So, first of all, turning to the agenda, can we just have apologies? No, actually, can we introduce ourselves first?
Yes, I'm Geraldine Haran, thank you.
Susan Francis, Julia Kanata.
Alison Judy. My goodness. And over there we have
Andrew King.
Andrew King. Okay. And can we now have apologies, please? Thank you.
Alexander.
Okay. And I think we've also got
And Margaret.
Margaret's Eleanor Community Councillors giving her apologies as well. And yeah, and actually there are some trackers coming as well in case some people don't have trackers. And we'll use that as we go. Thank you, that's apologies. No other apologies? No?
No, there's some agendas there, Alison.
That's fine, no, but I think it's more the tracker. Okay, so that's item number 1, moving to item number 2, and that's for community councillors. Community councillors, are you happy to propose and second the minutes, last minutes?
Yeah.
Dan, you want to propose?
I'll second.
You second? Okay, I'll take you. That's great, unless anyone else wants to add anything, you're okay for that? Yep. Okay, so that's minutes, the kind of technicalities gone. So we also have item number 3, which is the wardens who kindly pop in when there's like a whole host of other things to do. So thank you, over to you.
Good evening, my name is John Adam. This is my colleague, Senior Warden Stone. This is our stats for last month. We have 1 call for drug misuse, 4 calls for neighbour noise, and 1 call for public nuisance. That's the stats that we've got. I'm willing to answer any questions if I can.
Short and sweet.
Yeah.
Any questions?
I asked the wardens last month's meeting if they could tell us when anybody had the bad owners of dogs had been approached.
That I don't know, it's another department of the lodge, but I can find out.
I've been hearing that for the past 3 months.
I wasn't at it last week.
No, I'm not saying it was you, but it doesn't seem to get any further.
Right, well, I'll definitely make sure I'll get an answer for you.
I appreciate that, thank you very much.
I really agree, and it has been actually asked a few times, and we're told that it's enforcement numbers basically.
Yeah.
We might follow up as well, maybe Julie, you can put that in the minutes as well, so that's great. But thank you.
Probably they would get asked if an information request.
Say that again, sorry?
If you have information
Yeah.
request, that would be the best way for you to get it.
It is, but we shouldn't have to get to that point, you know, it should come quite freely. But if we get to that point, we'll get to that point.
It's just something that we don't get told because it's not our department.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's just that someday one of you, not yourselves, has we've been told a couple of things are taken away. So don't worry about that. We're going to deal with that as well. So it's super. Yeah.
Are your advance and units is just the same looking as the old ones, or the different?
They're slightly different, but they're basically the same. And we've got one new camera lines.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
We've been obviously all involved in the budget consultations, and it was quite an alarm to see that your service is very clearly on that list of cost reduction. You might not have a personal opinion in this and simply understandably refer me to someone else, but do you have any input or comment to make on that?
No.
That's not a very good answer.
High times. I have to ask it anyway.
Okay. Any other questions for the wardens? Oh, there you go.
Not so much a question, but I've noticed there's been a few break-ins of cars on Broombury Drive and at the high flat top car park. Has there been any kind of people involved there of suspicious nature calls out? No.
We've not received any calls for it. indeed we do patrol around there quite often.
Yeah. It's just in the last kind of 2-3 weeks, I know of several cars that have been broken into there.
We have a lot of patrols as well, funding for that.
Thank you.
You'll note that as well. That's great. Not great, but. Any others? No, I think that's it. I think you can happily, thank you very much for sparing the time and have a good night. Thanks so much. Okay, moving swiftly on to item number 4. Just as a bit of background about this. On the back of your, for anyone who's not been before, on the back of your agenda is what is emerging out of our ongoing community engagement. That's across the board. It's at meetings, it's social media, it's been visits to schools and so on. And we're doing more of that planned, but haven't yet on with that yet. But you can see that the 3 themes that are emerging are caring, the grouped under caring Gourock, accessible Gourock and safer Gourock. And caring Gourock very much has come out actually across the different ages, which is great. And so one of the issues that was raised at the forum last time was the medical centre and some of the changes at it and how, it was impacting, a bit of communication about it as well. So we're very, very lucky tonight that the practice manager, and I think it's my link worker too, but you can correct me if I'm wrong there. Yes,
it's actually the business managers came along with me tonight.
There we go. So you can introduce yourselves in a second. They're going to come up and give us a wee overview of everything that's happening at Gourock Medical Centre, and we'll take some questions on it, and we might put some highlights out on social media as well. So, do you want to come up to the floor and just have a wee word? Whatever's comfortable for you.
Yeah, no, that's fine. And my name's Carol. I am the manager along at Gourock Medical Practice. I had a wee look at your last minutes there, and I can see that the focus is particularly on the new consult system that we've brought into play. We've been looking at that from probably, I would say, about September last year. Started looking at different companies. We've been getting a lot of complaints really from patients about the access, the call queues, all that kind of stuff, just getting through getting a GP appointment once you've actually waited in the queue. So we looked into a few different companies and we kind of settled really on one probably October time. So that's when we started putting out surveys to patients to say, is this something you would want? The majority came back saying, we don't want to wait in call queues any longer, or we're happy to do online access. So we didn't get a huge uptake. We put it out to just over 7,000 patients, the survey, and we got just over 600 responses back. We were, when patients were coming in for appointments, things like that, we were advertising that the QR code was up, we were helping patients to access the survey, we were emailing it out, things that we were really trying to get points of view for as many patients as we could. But we took it into account, and the majority were happy for online services to be added to everything else that we use. The online services is not the only way you can access appointments at the practice. There seems to be a bit of a misconception that you can't still phone for appointments. The girls are there to support that. The form still gets completed by the staff once patients phone in, but there's still phone access. One of the things we did do, which was a mistake, was we took away the appointments extension, essentially because we were trying to promote the online appointment system. A patient had contacted us and let us know how upset she was. It didn't help, she didn't know what to do, she was hanging on the line, she wasn't too sure. So we put the extension back on. It did cause a bit of confusion. So we are taking in comments. We've had a few patients come in and contact me online, things like that. But the majority of patients have actually, it's been received quite well. We're getting a lot of feedback to say the system's working. It's went from you would ordinarily be waiting in the queue at 9 o'clock, and the system before was fastest finger first, and the girls on reception were asking questions. Patients didn't like that either, and I don't blame them, to be honest. But now the system opens up at 8 o'clock, it's open from 8 till 11 online. Anyone can access it, so you can access it for other people. The availability, we're hoping to keep open till 11 o'clock every day, but obviously that depends on how much demand we have, but we've managed to keep it open the full time, we've said. And during that time, if a patient fills out the form, it goes direct to the clinical staff. Now, there's no more telling the receptionist what your symptoms are or any of that thing, which was one of the issues that patients were having. And then the clinicians are now the ones that are deciding how quickly you need seen, if you need, pre-investigations before you go on an appointment, things like that. So it's they're much more involved in the care from the minute the patient's contacting, rather than that rush at 9 o'clock, the huge call queue, the fight for appointments, and they're going so quickly. It's working. The system's working really well. We're still in the very early stages. There are still teething problems. We are aware of it, but we're trying to work through as best we can. And if we've got information back from patients to say what's working, what's not working, not around everything. It is a very, very early days. We've only been doing it not even a month yet, so but we are trying. So I'm quite happy to take questions if anybody has any.
I think we've got, thank you very much for that. We've got one here, I think.
Well, I would say I've had good outcomes using the beacon, so
That's good.
and I was the most optimistic person in the hospital for thinking this. But I wonder, you're talking about the patients and they're your prime thing here, but how are the doctors managing with it?
They are managing. Some of them are a bit better than others. We're kind of dividing it up at the moment, but what we found as soon as we opened it was the need for female appointments far surpassed anything else. So we've got 2 full-time male GPs at the practice and 3 part-time female GPs that work at the practice. So the male GPs have kind of been taking the lead on the e-consult, on the forms when they come in, and the female GPs have been kind of doing the appointments over the last couple of weeks. We're able to kind of balance that a bit better depending on the need. So if it comes in one day and there's loads of male GP appointments needed, then we just change it around. So it's very much, we're able to do a lot more with the system. It used to be as well, you either got an on-the-day appointment with one of the advanced nurse practitioners, or your appointment could be anything within the next 7 days. We've brought that down to 3 days now, so patients are getting seen pretty much same day. They can get treatment online. They don't need to come to an appointment. So if they're working full time, they're not having to take time off to come to the doctor. Or if you want to see a specific doctor, pop that in your request, and we'll facilitate as much as we possibly can. So we really are trying to work with patients, not block it in any way, So.
Thank you. Do you have any questions for the medical centre? Actually, the key people who raised it last time are actually not here tonight. Actually, I'm just recognising so there's. There you go, Kitty.
Just a question on behalf of the constituent that phoned me today. I have used your online and felt it really good.
Okay, that's great.
And a relation used it and was a bit kind of puffy about it because she got advice that she felt that she knew the answer already. And said, well, they wouldn't know that you knew it, and that was good advice, you move on for that. However, this constituent that phoned me today, my question was, when you phone up, is it all the questions that you're asked on the online form that they ask? Because there's a lot there, and if you're doing it on your phone, that's fine and it's quite quick, but you seem to think it was really onerous in number. And it is online, but it's fine. But if you're on the phone, then is that the thing that takes a lot of time?
It's not the same
It's not the
form.
same, right?
It's what's called an e-light form, so it's far less information. Unfortunately, you do have to kind of speak to the admin staff about your concerns, any of your symptoms, anything like that medical history, stuff like that. But I mean, the online form there is a lot of information it takes, but there's no more information it's taken than what you're being asked in a GP appointment. So it's basically doing the pre-work for the GP, also while making sure there's no red flag symptoms that they're going to miss, that should be sending you up to ED, things like that. The e-light form, however, once you're through to the practice, the girls run through, I think it's 5 questions, and once you've cleared that, the e-light form goes in, and the girls can highlight whether it's an on-the-day emergency or not. So there's that part of it too. So it is a lot.
I think there was a bit of misunderstanding about that, or
Okay.
maybe later on.
Right.
From I mean, I'm only going to go common, that's all. But it'd be useful
To maybe like
get one
more.
of course.
I mean, we do try and push the online form to do it yourself. It's much more clinical information the doctors are getting, so it works better. But if anyone can't manage, then we're not going to stop access or anything.
And I think that was the issue. I think that people had, there was a bit of a miscommunication, shall we say, and there's a wee bit of concern around that. Councillor Quinn, and then it's there behind there.
Yeah, thanks. Probably the same as Sandra has had. We've had a few calls and concerns. So probably like anything, it's probably teething problems is where it was anything, so I understand that, and change is never good for anybody.
Yeah.
Especially if we get older, we don't want any form of change. But I think there was a miscommunication that the phone system is now not working, because I think when the phone up, they felt as if they were pushed into the online system as opposed to just running in that way, that there was a over-encouragement that they then felt as if that was their only option, and eventually, which what I'm more concerned about, is just left it. So I would encourage them not, like if you need an appointment, then phone back, or don't just get frustrated and just not bother, because that would be my concern.
There was a bit where we are educating every time someone goes, because not everybody reads their texts or wants to read emails and things like that, so the information wasn't getting out to everyone, but we are educating on the phone, but we're there to do the e-light form if it's not.
Yeah, especially those with cognitive impairment as well, because that's my concern, is
Yeah.
we'll just maybe move on and not. And the other thing was that understanding between 8 and 11, so I'm just talking from a personal point of view, the ability to complete it at night, that it will then be kicked in next morning, because the whole point in phoning is you have to be available on the phone between 8 and 11, so those that can, you're still in a time frame that if you can't, or it's 11 o'clock, what you wait till the next day when you're back in. It's just that, because if it's only between 8, if it's online, I don't understand why we can't just still in at midnight and 8 o'clock. Understanding that it will not be picked up between until 8 and 11 next day.
The issue was with the company for that one. They just won't leave it open just in case someone's. We've had a couple of instances where people completed the e-consult form, but actually it was more of an emergency situation, things like that. So the company really is quite strict on, they'll reiterate the questions, they'll make sure patients are understanding all that kind of stuff. One of the things they won't do is have a clinical e-consult form sitting when the doctors are not going to be looking at it for any length of time at all. So they won't let me do that. I thought that was perfect, of sitting at night time. We can do the long term, your chronic disease management, all that kind of thing. You can do admin requests, there's prescription requests, there's a whole different section to it that is available all day, every day. That doesn't close. But the clinical side of it needs to be monitored, unfortunately, by the doctor. So, yeah.
Okay, and the other thing that was kind of came through is if you had to have a basic knowledge of what was wrong with you. When you've got some the other conversation about I don't feel well, I'm not really sure what it is, but I felt as if I had to diagnose myself through the process, and then it gets to the end and you've just kind of picked out a couple of symptoms just to shove in the system, and then in the end it's like, oh, there you go, you're getting blood tests potentially for something,
You're not
I just diagnosed myself. So that was a concern,
yes. That's a concern of mine as well. We're tidying up again. Some of the services, some of the questions on there are not, so take you to the wrong section and stuff like that. I'm meeting tomorrow with the company to kind of tidy it up a bit more. There is a general advice section that we've been kind of letting patients know about, because like that sometimes you don't know what you're wanting, you're just maybe wanting a bit of general advice from your doctor. So there is, if you kind of scroll down to the bottom, you can type it in up at the search bar, just general, and it'll come up giving you that section. So that we've tried to kind of get it as best as possible, but it's doctors that have made this website. So it is doctors that probably understand. Yeah, that's exactly.
I'm
I want to do layman terms, I want to, go to physio, not MSK, or, things like that. So that's more what I'd be looking for, but that's the way it's made, unfortunately. So we are trying to make it a bit better, and as we go on, we kind of change it a bit for what works for us and our patients. But at the minute, they're quite strict on, because we've just started, they're quite strict on what changes they make for us.
Some of the way that some of the services are done, for example, if you put in for somebody that had urinary symptoms and say it's a jet, it will go through a scoring system which potentially a doctor would ask for you to complete in clinic, whereas that will populate all those questions. Or if you're having sleep issues, doctor would then ask you to fill in a questionnaire about issues that you're having with sleep, which gives them a score that they would then use for a referral. That e-consult creates that information, so doctors got all that scoring and information when you complete it. So some of the questions may seem, why is it asking these specific questions? But there's a clinical reason, or it's ruling out sepsis. You might think it seems a bit weird, why is it asking me about those specific symptoms? But it has to make sure that it's coming to the right place. And it self-flags as well. So if you're putting in about your symptoms that you're experiencing, and there's ones on there that are running ask about a fever, that will come in as a red flag. So every red flag gets pinned, we'll bring it up on the doctor's list. So if you're sitting, last couple of Mondays we've had over 100 in on a Monday, so they can see right at the top, right, who do I need to look at first? Then they can see who is at the top of their flagging system, and that's why I ask these specific questions. It's for patient safety. It's allowing us to deal with twice as many patients. The past few days when we're looking at our numbers, we wouldn't be able to have that level of access for patients. So previously you would have phoned maybe at 11 o'clock and my message would go on and say, I'm sorry, we're out of routine appointments today, and that would happen before the system. We would have no routine appointments by lunchtime every day, full stop, all gone. Whereas now, everything that comes through so far, we've been able to have clinical contact on a daily basis. As Carol's saying, we don't know what the volume's going to be, so it is a kind of rolling beast. But at the moment, everything that's come in, we've dealt with on the day. There's been follow-up, our doctors dealt with it, and whether that be somebody's attached a picture of a mole that they want to just get checked, they don't need to get time out from work, or it does and they need to come in so somebody can see it face to face, or it's a prescription for a cream, try that for 4 weeks and come back. It's just given us more options, and it's been able for us to then look after more patients on a day-to-day basis. Well, I can understand that, but the pathway is clear. So you're describing there's something there in the pathway. Instead of going there and saying, right, we need to check your bloods and then we send your bloods and then you've got to come back, that's 2 appointments. Yeah, so I can understand that. It's just, I'm just concerned because most of the calls we'll get in Gourock as well is older people who will phone up and say, I just feel like we don't know exactly. So we don't know what pathway to put in. That's not my concern.
If you have constituents, the library's helping us. They're offered to, as an over and spoke to the library, they're willing to support patients to get familiar. And when patients are phoning in and are not sure, the girls are talking them through it on the other end of the phone, or we're doing it this time for them, right, I'll do it for you this time, let's get you what you're needing now. But then tomorrow morning, when you're having your breakfast, cup of tea, whatever, go on and have a wee faff about. You don't need to complete it, just get yourself familiar with it. But ultimately, we are still, nobody's been told, well, no, we have to do it.
Can I just go to the next question, please, because the lady's going quite quiet. On you go, thank you.
I think you've actually covered part of the criteria. I did go on for that faff about, because you say, I wanted to see what the forum looked like, and it was quite confusing. Tick what's wrong with you, and it takes you into another pathway. But when I was taking the questions, the pathway it took me in didn't fit my criteria. So I would need to go down to other, go to the last box with the 200 words and then type in what I think my criteria is. So that was quite confusing. But what did happen with me, I left it and then I was trying to make appointments and I couldn't be bothered with it, quite honestly. And then last week, 2 weeks ago, I had to phone in and I said, and the question was asked, have you filled in the online form? It was the middle of the afternoon and I said, well, I couldn't. I was actually unconscious in the hospital at the time, between 8 and 11.
Now, I was given an appointment there and then for 2 days later, a telephone appointment, so I wasn't turned away. You know, but I think that the forum for a lot, if you're not computer literate, a lot of people, and you know, I know that the library would tell, how is somebody from Midton going to get to the library? There's no bus service.
Yeah. We can always do it on the phone, so you don't ever.
Lots of, for me, it isn't a problem, but for lots of people, it would be a problem.
Yeah.
Lots of people don't have internet at home.
Yeah, I know you're right.
They don't have, you know, and that would commit maybe one minute survey of it.
It's not to stop the survey that actually comes through on everyone's mobile, so just like 7,300 patients got the text message with the survey attached. Sorry, I've lost my train of thought now completely.
Send to a long page of it.
So, what has been the, as far as the appointments go, what is the availability of appointments on the telephone as opposed to what it was before the online
They're
system
both the
came in?
same.
But then, but if I had been on the phone any morning, so got past 9 appointments available
Yeah.
phone tomorrow morning, next morning, same thing.
Well, that's stopped
So
now.
is that not happening now?
So,
So you're saying that there are appointments available
so
then
if you phone and we put through the form, the doctor will have a look at it.
without the forum? If it was someone
No,
phoning
not
who
without the
didn't
forum.
fill in the forum and they want to phone because they can't use the forum, they don't have internet, what happens if they phone just I want to
So
make
when you phone, the girls at the front desk
Uh-huh.
will go through the form with you, so they'll do
or
it for
then,
you.
so they go through all the
Yeah,
forums.
so not the whole form, it's a short
Right,
preparation.
okay. And
So
it
you
still
won't be
goes
on.
into that queue and says,
It'll still go into that queue and you'll still be the same as anything
right,
else.
so the telephone appointments are can be considered with the
Yeah.
online appointments,
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
put together.
It's all
right?
together. It's not instead of phone calls, it's just
It's
as well
the
as it's more access.
Yeah.
So it's not instead of the calls.
Okay, thank you. Is that okay? I'm going to go to Andrew, I'm going to go to Councillor Reynolds. Is that a hand up the back as well? Yeah, so that's fine. So, it was turning before you?
Aye.
Okay, on you go, there you go.
Thanks. I've had a few church members complain to me about the system, and so I have some questions. I haven't actually done it myself yet, thankfully, but one of the questions that I'm hearing is, do they have to answer all, what they said was, there are like 57 questions that we have to answer. And do we have to do it every single time we want an appointment? What if it's a follow-up or whatever? And the amount of time and energy that takes when they're not feeling well to try to work it out.
So it depends on what they are contacting for. So some of the forms are a bit bulkier than others, like my colleague had said, it depends if they're going to do the whole sheet with its own score, or it's just going to be a general follow-up for after blood tests or whatever. Those are smaller, those forms are not as intricate, you can just put in for follow-up after. You don't need to answer. The more information you give, the better it is, the more they can work with it, but you don't need to.
The second thing that they've asked me that I don't know the answer to is if they want to see a particular GP who only works part-time, like mine only works Monday, Wednesday, Friday, right? So if it's only booking 3 days, like if you fill in the form on Tuesday, for instance, and she's not got any appointments available on Wednesday, then do you just have to do it again on Friday? So that, do you know what I mean?
So
like
You
how
can ask for a preferred GP, we try and do that most of the time. The majority of the time we're managing to do it, but essentially those female GP appointments, we kind of ring fence some of them for female appointments, you know. So we make sure all that's taken care of, so we don't have anyone that's got an emergency that needs to come in for an examination before we're, you know, someone with an ear issue that's just prefers to go and see that GP, that kind of thing. But other than that, no, you would, for example, your GP's in every other day, so we would have availability for that GP, considering if there's not an influx of need for it, kind of thing, you know. But yeah, we do try. And it's on the form as well, you can ask for your preferred GP. But if you have time, you can do that.
the
They
first
do
person
work
to bring it up
part-time.
said they got a call back offering them an appointment the same day, and she knew that her GP, because was gonna be the same one, only works Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and the callback was on Tuesday. And she was like, how are you doing that when I asked specifically for this person?
In reality, the